Bang.
Bang. It's always a good way to start the morning. Bang. Welcome back, folks. I'm Jon Najarian. Monty and CJ are here as well, and the guys are ready to talk crypto. A lot of people overnight were talking all kinds of stuff about crypto. This one guy who's done a lot of work on the short side, not of crypto, but he's in fact made a great call. Hopefully I'll get him on the podcast real soon. Ronnie Moas. I forget what he calls his firm, but anyway, Ronnie is a noted short seller, but he's also noted for making a pretty accurate call about Bitcoin. I think 2018, and it's only up like 25, 28 times since then. It was a good call, Ronnie. And he was saying that Bloomberg had an article that said that Bitcoin was taking over for gold faster than they anticipated as a, store of value, a tradable asset, whatever. And I said, I wonder whose expectations those were that wouldn't happen. I mean, you just look at a one-year chart, folks. A one-year chart shows that it's up 400%. Bitcoin is, and gold is, I think, maybe up 5 over that year. So, if somebody's expectations were that they were going to get a lot better than that out of gold versus Bitcoin, I don't know what they were thinking. Even when Bitcoin was $4,000, CJ, it didn't seem like that was a very good bet.
I remember at the start of quarantine, when we first had the liquidity crisis in March and the Fed started printing tons of money, a lot of people wanted to play that inflation hedge trade. And a lot of them were like, well, we see Bitcoin and gold. However, we see Bitcoin as the faster horse. But gold, I mean, I think it's underperformed considering the market environment with so much like easy money floating around.
Yeah, right. We talked a lot about how 2020 was really a shift in kind of the paradigm of the world in so many ways. And I think Bitcoin was a large benefactor of that. And on the other hand, gold was kind of hurt by that because everything kind of went digital. People became more accepting of the concept of digital scarcity. And I think as a result, Bitcoin managed to yoink some of that market share from gold. So it's good to see. But getting into the current price action of Bitcoin, CJ, you've been talking about this ascending triangle, and it's kind of been providing us some hope even during a little bit of a sell-off. And I've actually started to see other people on Twitter talking about this ascending triangle. So you want to talk about that and kind of where you think we may be headed from our current price?
Yeah, it's a pretty popular pattern. I'm sure, many others recognized it. But yeah, it's part of the process of trading. You got to be patient. Sometimes it takes a while for these patterns to play out, and I guess you got to find something to do besides just twiddling your thumbs in the interim. But when a breakout does happen between some of those two critical levels that we've been talking about, I think it's going to be a pretty strong catalyst in one direction or the other. I think it's a much higher likelihood we're going up. But yeah, I mean, patience is key right here.
Yeah. Well, it turns out, guys, that the VIX, that's the CBOE's measurement, as you guys know, I'm just saying it for the rest of the folks. CBOE came up with that measurement, and then I think a professor at Duke put it into a formula that they use on a second-by-second basis now. But the VIX broke 17 overnight to the downside into the 16s. And if you look at the at-the-money calls that are priced in Bitcoin, they are now at a 64. So, in rough terms, 4 times more volatile than the volatility of the S&P 500. And yet, Bitcoin has not been terribly volatile lately. I mean, that's pretty stable, at least in my mind. When we were talking before we came on air, you guys were saying, well, bear market. And I was like, bear market at 57,000? But it's just been kind of trading sideways here. Obviously, the big horse in the race right now has been Ethereum for the last few days for sure. But I have what I thought was a good question to pose to each of you guys. You want to take it first, Monty? You can. The volume of trade in Tether was, I think, twice that of Bitcoin. And that in the past has been sort of a sign that people are jumping out of one into the other, jumping out of Bitcoin perhaps, but not selling it, but just moving over to Tether. And perhaps some of that same thing happening with Ethereum and Tether. What are your thoughts, Monty?
Yeah, John, that's a really interesting point. And yesterday, CJ and I talked briefly about Bitcoin dominance, and it was actually at an all-time low for this year, falling to 55%, implying that kind of some of the other alts and maybe some of these stable coins were stealing some of that market share away from Bitcoin. But the way I see it is kind of that's just another indication that we're kind of on the brink of an explosion to the upside. You just talked about how the Bitcoin VIX is 4 times that of the S&P. And even though it's been trading sideways in the last few weeks, I still think that that is going to hold up. I think it implies that we're going to see some serious volatility at the end of this month here, because a lot of the options expirations are at 75K for the end of April. And I think that that's still holding true. We're looking at this ascending triangle, a tightening formation. I think that the volatility index in combination with people moving into Tether, there really is a lot of reasons to believe that this market is a powder keg right now. It's kind of set to explode to the upside. So I'm just waiting for that. I think once this pattern completes, we're going to get a bit of an explosion. So I'm optimistic for the end of this month, and I think we're going to have a bullish second half of April.
The volume on Tether is always a very interesting thing. I think people have always said, like, the more you print Tether, the more Bitcoin gets artificially pumped. And I don't think that's the case. I think the reason why we see such Tether printing in bull markets is because there's massive demand. Like at the start of 2020 here, Tether had a market cap of roughly 10 billion, a little under 10 billion. Now we are over 40 billion with Bitcoin over 57,000. And I think that shows the demand of traders coming in who want to go into a stable coin and they don't want to access USD, or maybe they can't. Maybe they're not in a country where they can cash out for USD, but they still want that stability. So I think what it tells is kind of just an influx of demand and traders really wanting to, be able to get into a stable coin.
Well, good explanations from both of you guys. And sorry, Monty, that speaker was coming over. I'm down here in Puerto Rico, and believe it or not, that was a test of their tsunami warning system. Something we don't have to worry about in Chicago. And I don't know how much they have to worry about it here, but they want to be safe, so they, do their practice. It's crazy though. I didn't see Peter Schiff himself in person last night, but at the restaurant I was eating at, it was right next to his where his house or his apartment is here. And so a lot of crypto guys down here. Brock Pierce. I can't remember if Charlie Shrem has actually made the move or not, but a lot of crypto guys and some interesting mining projects that people are working on now. So I told him, well, I've got a couple crypto miners up in Chicago because that's what CJ and Monty did when they were in college. Well, when they were studying, the machines were mining Bitcoin and others, right? Which others did you guys mine?
Oh man, CJ, I know you got into some exotic ones.
Yeah, because like by the end of it, we didn't have a sufficient amount of hash power. So I was looking to mine the proof of stake coins that had, a lower difficulty on their network. Some of the examples of that were Raven coin and then Vert coin. I sold them, I sold them for Bitcoin and others, but it was fun. I think mining is a good way to just learn about any cryptocurrency.
Yeah, agreed. We definitely learned a lot about the protocols of blockchain. But John, I definitely would not be opposed to a Market Rebellion Puerto Rico office if that's what you're thinking.
Oh, I think we should. Especially if they start moving up dramatically on the corporate tax and stuff like that. Might have to look at it. Well, who wants to kick off a Doge of the day, guys?
Well, it's funny. CJ and I, we don't really talk about our Doge of the day. We just kind of send them to each other right before we do this show. And of course, he picks the one that I was about to pick. So I had to go with an alternative. So CJ, you started off because you kind of stole my idea.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one who created our NFT course, but this one is very, very related to NFTs. That's going to be Engine, up over 30% already today and climbing. But the volume on this one has absolutely been unprecedented. And with Bitcoin kind of bouncing off that support level from the bottom, like hypotenuse of that ascending triangle around 55, 56K, I don't see Engine stopping right now, because it had that first massive wave up, came down, consolidated a little bit and traded in that range. And then, I love when an asset has the ability to break out of that range. And so, I like to trade with a bullish bias in a bull market. And so when this asset breaks, previous resistance and breaks into a new bullish range, that's typically when I like to look for continuation in that asset. So, while it is up, God, now it's up 40%. While that asset is up a lot today, I think it's going to be very bullish as Bitcoin if it can continue here. But
yeah, CJ, agreed. Another thing with Engine, it was actually just listed on Coinbase Pro, and we talk about the effect that the Coinbase effect can have. And it's not just an immediate effect, right? This effect can kind of be extended over a period of a month. We talked yesterday in our webinar kind of about how the Coinbase effect can actually linger for like up to 30 days. So yeah, I think this is great for Engine. Have a whole new audience that is able to purchase it and speculate on it. And yeah, I believe in the NFT space. So I like that pick, CJ. And yeah, actually, I just wanted to quickly mention over at our friend Trade the Chain on their dashboard, the two highest daily sentiment scores were number 2 was Engine, and number 1 is my pick today, Kyber Network. I've been talking about this one a lot lately. I truly think it has tremendous potential to perform well in this market cycle. If you look at some of the assets it's competing with, like Uni or Sushi, they have 10 to 15 times the market cap that KNC has. So I think KNC is well positioned to kind of steal away some of that decentralized exchange market share. It's got solid UX. It's almost an exact clone of Uni and Sushi. So I think it makes sense that it starts to take away some of that market share. And once Bitcoin breaks the upside, this is one asset that I expect to perform tremendously well. So yeah, KNC, that is my Doge of the day today.
I'm going to throw out Theta again, guys, because it had that big surge that we look for in volume yesterday. I realize today's the 8th of April, but yesterday it was roughly 1170 or so, and trading about 350 million per 24-hour spot. It spiked up in volume and in price to, let's see, what was the high yesterday? Pretty much 1355 on 784 million 24-hour, and now overnight it was trading over $1 billion average in a 24-hour period. So the volume was definitely there, and it is one of the altcoins that was still holding and moving higher. I've seen a lot of them with the volumes bending over, rolling over. And so this one at roughly 1297 today, I think it makes another surge and maybe breaks to 14 on this move. We'll have to see, but that's the one. My Doge of the day is Theta.
Very nice, very nice. Oh, one last thing I did want to mention before we end today's episode. I wanted to give a shout out to one of the members of our crypto community. Yesterday was, kind of a tough day for the crypto markets, right? Wasn't a whole lot of good news, but we did get some good news from one of our most loyal and one of our favorite members in the community. He's been in the community since day one, and that is Bob Dittrich. Yesterday, he dropped a message into our chat saying that he got some very positive news regarding his cancer treatment. So Bob, way to go. You got the whole Market Rebellion team behind you, and we're so happy to hear that. So shout out to you, Bob.
True. Well, go for it, Bob. Glad to hear it, man. And let's hope that we do get some good news out of some cryptos here too. Like I say, stable volatility in Bitcoin is something to note, and maybe it portends something into the future. We'll have to keep our eye on it. So thank you all for watching today.
Yeah, and if you guys want to check out our crypto room, it's just $1 for the first month. You can try it at the link below me, marketrebellion.com/try crypto. Just come hang out with CJ and I, drop us some questions in the chat. It's a lot of fun. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.